Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Robillard, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in a pretty small town up in New England, up in Massachusetts, called Reading, Mass. I don't know if you've heard of it, probably not. But there's really not that much. You know, it's a small town, maybe 20,000 people, a few more. But the thing that most people don't know about Massachusetts, you know, the people who are in Florida, is that we actually have 4 seasons up there. So instead of hot and less hot, we get cold, really cold, slightly less cold, and then bearable in the summer. So basically, that being said, like half the year, you're pretty much inside just trying to, find some way to entertain yourself. So my house actually was pretty good size. I had a big yard. It's on a dead-end street, had a pool. So every year, I'd have a pool party at the end of the school year. And all my friends would come, all my sister's friends would come, all my other sister's friends would come, and basically they wouldn't leave for the entire summer because we had the perfect place. Well, I had a great time doing that. My mom couldn't stand it. Basically, she loved us all, but we drove her insane. So what did she do? She basically found a summer camp for us to go to. And basically, it was up in the middle of nowhere in eastern Massachusetts, just a woods on a pond. Basically, it had everything that summer camps have: cabins, bunks with about 10 people and a counselor, and programs like archery, boating, canoeing, you name it, they got it. So I tried this out for a year, and I loved it so much that my mom basically had to get a job at the summer camp so that I could afford to go as much as I wanted to. So basically, all said and done, I went there for 9 years, every single summer. And basically, since I loved it so much, and I knew all the people there because I wasn't the only one who did that, basically when you're too old to be a camper, you either become a CIT, which is a counselor in training, or you work for the kitchen. So my artifact here is my apron, because I chose the kitchen. The CIT is basically you learn how to be a counselor, and you actually have to pay to do it. Working in the kitchen, you make food, work around food, and you actually get paid for it. So it's a no-brainer for me. Basically, the kitchen staff there consisted of a head chef, an assistant chef, and about 3 or 4 just random kitchen workers. I was one of them. And basically, we were just responsible for feeding about 300 campers and staffers 3 times a day. So, typical day as a kitchen staffer at Camp Rotary, it was called. I would wake up at 6 a.m., which was probably the hardest thing to do ever, being 14 years old in the summertime. Not easy, wouldn't recommend it. And then I would get to work at 6:15, and then I would basically put all the cereal boxes out for them to grab, put juice on every table, milk on every table, and then basically prepare all the hot food as well. And then the way it worked in my camp is that every single cabin had its own table and its own waiter for a specific meal. So what I would do also is let all the waiters know we had these little wooden things that say knives, forks, spoons, plates, bowls. We just flip them over and let them know what they had to set for the table. So I would do that, and then 15 minutes before each meal or whatever, I would go ring the giant bell, which was basically the symbol that everyone needs to come to the meal and go to lower campus because it's almost time to eat. So basically, once that happened, during the meal, it's pretty straightforward. You serve food, you give refills, you take the milk jugs away, give them new ones because we recycle up there. Right thing to do. And then you always have a mop ready too, because if there are 300 campers, something's going to get spilled. So basically, I was just there to keep everything clean, make sure they all got their food. And after the meal, basically, clean dishes and pans, nothing exciting. But then, once the kitchen was entirely clean and mopped and everything, we're eating. We had between breakfast and lunch, probably about an hour or so. We could do whatever we want, like play Foursquare, which is basically the game of all games at summer camp. Love it. There's I had my own cabin too because I worked in the kitchen, so I could just go rest, basically do whatever I want. And then, time would roll around where I'd actually have to do more work again, which basically repeat the whole process, only this time I'd actually make juice instead of giving them OJ and milk. Basically just sugar and water, and take a giant paddle and stir it in a trash barrel. Clean trash barrel nonetheless. And then basically do the same thing. And then after lunch was the best time of the day. It was called siesta. Camp-wide nap time. So I didn't have to worry about anything. I could do whatever I wanted, just relax in my cabin, but I was also staffed so I could go around camp if I really wanted to, which I would. And then, once again, we would repeat the process. Eventually I'd have to go back to work. And then, basically after that, at nighttime, all the campers would go back in their cabins, and then the staff would basically be allowed to do whatever they wanted, because they would just, be like, hey, CITs, your turn to go watch the kids. We're going down to lower campus to hang out with each other. That's what we do. We just hang out, talk, do whatever we wanted, and then basically just repeat the whole process over for 8 weeks. But this job was great because not only was it my first job, but I met a great amount of people doing it. There are always new people coming in and out, and there are always the people who were there year after year. So you'd see friendly faces and meet new friendly faces. It was wonderful. And basically this job taught me several lessons. It taught me how to work with different people, because the way the kitchen staff worked is the director would just go into inner cities and find some troubled youths and be like, hey, you want a job? Here you go. So I worked with a bunch of people who didn't really have any direction, and it's kind of tough at times, but I figured things out. And also taught me how to live with different people, because I shared a cabin with those same people. So that was always fun. And also taught me how to work in the kitchen, taught me different foods to make. I'm now a master of the grilled cheese sandwich and garlic bread. Thank you, Camp Rotary. And it also taught me how to work under pressure, because, believe it or not, 300 kids can go through a whole lot of bacon, and when they don't get their refills like they want, they get angry. Basically, there's nothing we can do. We only got so much bacon. Anyway, it's great talking to everyone. That was my first job, and it means a lot to me.